Okay, it's story time. And I got a story for you guys. Several years ago, I was taking a trip through the States, and my sister was living in Colorado at the time. I stopped off in Colorado to visit her for a few days, and they introduced me to a friend of theirs that they thought I'd get along with. And he was this guy. At the time, he was in his mid-30s, and he was in the first Iraq War, Operation Desert Storm. And his position in the military was an explosives specialist, but his specialty was defusing more than setting bombs, although he's got some stories about that. But this guy has got some crazy stories. He's been through a lot in that war. To start off, I should tell you, he was into early jungle music, and he spent almost the entire war stoned on acid. He and his commanding officer at the base he was stationed at were the only people with keys to a bunker where they made their own acid. And so he said, it'd be crazy. He's got his Walkman on, and he's listening to some jungle music, and he's bopping along doing his thing, and all of a sudden he gets a call, and it's saying, you got to get on the helicopter. So he's getting his gear on. He's still dancing to the music while he's getting on this thing. All right, boys, where's the bomb? Let's go fucking defuse this thing, just crazy, energetic guy, but yeah, obviously very affected by the war and by all the drugs. But one thing he kept saying to me is that there's no such thing as military intelligence. He said that's an oxymoron. The military is not an intelligent being. And one of the stories he told me to try and prove that was one night he was sitting on the barracks wall all the way around their fort or whatever, so that it was his turn to keep watch. And he was up there with this commanding officer that made the acid with him, and some other newbie soldier who just came over. And they're all sitting up there just tweaking their asses off, staring at the desert. All of a sudden the new guy thinks he sees something move off in the desert and fires a shot. And the entire base is alerted, of course. People are getting up out of bed, firing tanks, firing rockets, firing everything they've got at a spot that some fucking guy on acid thought he saw something move. And in the morning they woke up to find that there was nothing there but a couple rocks, and he was obviously just seeing things. But that's kind of a funny story he's got from the war. But then, to get on to the serious note of it, he still wakes up screaming from nightmares all the time. He's got PTSD coming out the ass. So, one story for you is he was called in to demolish a building downtown Baghdad. And this building was he said it was maybe 12, 13 stories high. And they had anti-aircraft on the roof and in the top couple floors. The rest of the building was totally empty. So he was led up there by some SEALs or whatever, him and another expert, explosives expert. And he was telling me that, in movies you see someone will take a brick of C4 and tack it onto the side of something and light that up, and it's this little explosion that takes out that door. He said if you wanted to take out a door like that, you'd use C4 about the size of your thumb. And that's all the C4 you'd need. So when you do a brick like that, it's a massive explosion. Well, he said they thought they'd be funny and just put bricks on all of the support beams for this whole building. They put a brick on each one and set their blasting cap or whatever it was and took off. And he said they turned around to watch it blow up about 8 blocks away, and they got knocked off their feet. And they looked up just in time to see that they'd turned the first 8 floors of this building into absolute dust, not to mention the surrounding neighborhood. And the rest of the building came crashing down through the dust as he watched people try and jump and save themselves out the windows and off the roof. So that's one crazy story he's got there. No confirmed kills. He didn't go up and confirm anything, but then he does have a confirmed kill story. So one day, again, downtown Baghdad, he's walking along with a friend of his, and as a explosives expert, the gun they gave him was an MP5 or something, like a UMP or something real fast and small and inaccurate. And his buddy had something similar. And they're walking on opposite sides of the street, kind of doing some surveillance along these abandoned cars and shit. And all of a sudden, his buddy starts getting fired at. And they both take cover, and he can tell that his buddy's in trouble here. Like, he's not going to be able to stay in his spot and not get hit forever. So he looks down the street and sees somebody laying down in the street, pointing a rifle straight at them, kind of thing. And he tries to take a couple shots at this person laying down. And it was obvious that his gun was just not accurate enough, but he noticed like every third or fourth shot would generally go in the same spot. So he started trying to aim the gun so that that third or fourth shot would ricochet off the ground. And, meanwhile, his buddy's, being covered by some fire from this kid. This kid hasn't turned to shoot at him because it doesn't look like this guy's shooting at him. He's person laying there or whatever. So he shoots and manages to actually, after several tries, bounce a bullet up into the head of this person laying down, pointing the gun. And him and his buddy went up to confirm the kill, and it was like a 12-year-old kid holding an AK. And he still wakes up screaming all the time, just thinking of that kid's face and what he did to it. He could not stress strongly enough, don't join the military. I can't stress that enough. If you join the military, you're a worse slave than the rest of us, and the rest of us are already slaves. You're basically throwing your life away to a government that is corrupt and evil, that wants you to go and die for them. For what? For oil. Little preachy story time tonight, but I thought I'd share some of the craziness with you guys. Can't remember that fellow's name, but that's probably for the best. But he's a strange, strange duck.